So, and here we go again. Welcome, guys, to our next LinkedIn Live. It's a great pleasure to welcome Dana Rollinger here. Dana, nice to have you here. Could you very briefly introduce yourself?
Absolutely. Good afternoon, everyone. Good morning for those that have dialed in from overseas. It's a great pleasure to be here, Václav. Thank you very much for your invitation. I'm very, very happy and honored to be here to exchange and to share. My specialty is recruitment. I've spent the last 10 years in different types of recruitment. I started my career in an executive search boutique firm focusing on across industries on C-level placements. I then went on and took a career break to raise my two beautiful children, and then I re-entered the work world, and now I work for a large pharmaceutical organization to hire top talent in very niche areas. And it's a very different world, but I'm having a lot of fun. I am learning, I'm growing, and I also see that the value that I'm bringing into the company, and also for the talent. I just want to mention, Václav, that on this call I will be sharing my own opinions and beliefs and experiences, and I won't be representing my employer. I think it's important to mention, because I am I've accumulated enough experience, and I'm known to have strong opinions, so I'm happy to share those.
That's very nice. Thank you for the short introduction. And I'm very grateful that Eduardo dos Santos Silva made me aware of your profile by commenting something, because I discovered a great person who I would label as a colleague, because you are in extended terms, a career consultant as well. You are sharing a lot of stuff where people can learn from. And I specifically enjoyed your tagline, which is mentioning leading with kindness. And why is this important for you, and how do you lead with kindness, Dana?
Thank you, Václav. It's very important for me. I think generally there is not enough kindness in the world. I think we tend to forget about it, and we tend to keep it only for the people that we are close to and we care for truly in our private lives. I think in the professional world there is not enough kindness for one another. There's not enough compassion and empathy. And I think this is really important, because we do not divide our professional selves from the private selves. Words still hurt, actions still, affect us the same way. And I think it's very, very important to be kind, to spread the kindness, because it passes on. When I'm kind to somebody, this other person on a commute home will feel good about their day. They will pass it on. This other person on the commute will come home, pass it on to their family members. I'm a big believer in these small actions that in the end they do make a better world for us all.
Yeah, this is a beautiful statement. I can only subscribe to it. Yes, we can. World is full of hassle, full of hatred, and the only thing what we have, we can create a better surrounding around us. That's what we can control. It's the
Absolutely.
Same development. Try to control the stuff you can't control, and don't try to put yourself in the head of a recruiter somewhere and how would you influence him to hire you. No, do your own stuff, and then that's paying off. I appreciate a lot your LinkedIn content creation, because I'm a big fan of the content creation on LinkedIn. So is this a part of your job?
When I started creating content on LinkedIn, I started by the really classical recruiter thing. I started posting vacancies that I was working on. And I'm not sure how effective it really was, because as I mentioned, I hire very specific niche talent, and obviously my network at that point in time was not yet there. But I noticed that people were interacting, they were sharing these opportunities, and as we say, baby steps. I then started interacting with other content creators, and one thing led to another, and it all kind of snowballed into a full content creation. And no, it's not my job. Nobody tells me what to do on LinkedIn. Nobody tells me what to write or not to write. I share what I believe in, and I write about what I see that could be beneficial to my readers, to my network. I genuinely enjoy hearing feedback that this has been helpful, and connecting with people, getting to know their struggles, seeing how I can support. I must say that I'm not always able to, because of course a lot of people reach out to me and they say, oh, can we have a one-on-one? And I really wish that I was able to do that. My answer is, unfortunately, I have 2 jobs and 2 kids, and that really doesn't leave me with a lot of time for individual conversations. And I try to compensate that with creating content that could be useful, that could be helpful, and that way kind of trying to maximize my time and my knowledge. And I think it's also in a way it's also linked to this leading with kindness. I think there is this mysterious kind of ideas of what recruiters do and what happens with your application when you submit it. And I sort of try to clarify that and demystify, as some people may have told me in the past, that I'm demystifying recruitment on LinkedIn. So I try to do that and kind of drive value that way.
And this is the beauty of LinkedIn, because we have found each other through content creation on LinkedIn. So without it, we wouldn't be sitting here. And this is the same I think to my customers. The LinkedIn and content and adding value to your network on LinkedIn is so important for your visibility, which at the end leads to jobs and jobs offers. So are you measuring somehow specifically the success on this platform? Which tools are you using? Are you reflecting on it? Do you care, or simply post it and let it go? What's your approach to this?
I like data. So that's my I don't want to call it weak point, but it's my guilty pleasure. I enjoy data. I love seeing the impact of what I do. I'm not in a business of wasting my time or other people's time. So I really want to drive value, and I want to see that whatever I'm spending my time and effort on registers somewhere. Mm-hmm. So I use an app called Authored App on LinkedIn that makes my life easier, and it also has a nice feature of analyzing the reach of the content. It shows me which topics are the most relevant for my audience, and which ones potentially are less interesting. That's pretty much what I'm looking at. And as we connected the other day over, I said what's happening with SSI score. This is also another thing that I've been kind of keeping an eye on. Watching it raise over the time of my content creation, but lately it's just gone completely illogical, and so I'm like, it just makes no sense whatsoever. So I've stopped looking at it, to be honest. It really makes no sense.
I think it makes sense to explain people the algorithm or the mechanism. How does LinkedIn work, and does it evaluate what are the 4 pillars and so on? That's okay, but I wouldn't overestimate it either. I know several people who are very successful in business life without a LinkedIn profile. I know several people who have a horrible LinkedIn profile, are top-notch experts in their area. So at the end, it's one of the tools. We shouldn't underestimate it, but we shouldn't overestimate it either. I just wanted to say one thing, guys. You have opportunity to ask Dana a question, and I can simply show them this way. So if there is something on your minds, don't hesitate to drop a question in the chat, and I will display it here. Unfortunately, I'm not able to answer on it when I'm broadcasting. So that's the way. So if you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask. And what I found very interesting on your LinkedIn profile, Dana, was that you are in digital employer branding. So could you elaborate a little bit on that? How does digital employer branding help you to attract the right talent?
Yes, so that's a funny story actually, because it's a part-time assignment slash part-time role on top of my full-time job that I do, and it's not really part of recruitment. However, I do see a very strong link in what I do and what digital branding teams do. And it all came out partially because of this content creation that I've been doing on LinkedIn. So my colleagues noticed it, and they said, "Hey, we really like what you're doing there," and it kind of overlaps with what we're trying to get out. And so we started working together, and I think this is a highly underestimated area of digital recruitment, because let's face it, these days most of the recruitment is digital, and whenever any of us look for a job, we do consider the brand of the employer, and I'm not even talking about the brand of the employer services or products. I'm talking about the brand as an employer, and this for me personally, when I was looking for a job, this was of very high importance. So there were employers that I would not apply at all, because I really don't value what they stand for. And so I think it's important, if you have a brand that you're proud of, and if you have a brand that is recognized and just a great place to be, I think it's nice to put it out there and to show, because it's not even about trying to sell it. It's more about getting the word out there, and not about trying to make it look nicer, but it's more about informing, if for the lack of a better word, just sharing what is it that you stand for, what is it that you do, and how you do, and why you do things, and this is how all of it really closely overlaps with my role in recruitment, because I want to attract the best in the market. I really want to hire the strongest potential, the smartest people, the ones with the top leadership skills, and this is what are things that are important for this type of talent, and that's why I think it's important for them to see this message.
I have a great question now from the audience, and from Robert. So all big pharma nowadays use AT assistants for recruitment. I'm already using JobScan to optimize keywords. Is there anything else I can do to stand out amongst the hundreds or thousands of job applications that come in? Thank you for this question. This is a great one.
Yeah. Thank you, Robert. There is lots of things you can do to stand out, and not all of them can be on your CV, I'm afraid. However, I think the one thing that a lot of candidates that are so focused on tricking the ATS, for the lack of better word, people get so focused on the keywords, and all of these are important things, don't get me wrong, but I think people sometimes tend to lose the authenticity. They tend to lose themselves in trying to outsmart, because I can assure you that every applicant that applies through ATS, through Teleo, for a job that I'm leading or my colleagues are leading, it's actually a human reading the CV. Okay, so there's no computer that makes a decision on whether you are progressing to screening call or not. And of course, Robert, this is your question, right? How do you get through to the screening? How do you get through to talking to a person once you apply? Just read the job description carefully, because the recruiters, they look in your application whether this candidate meets the requirements and how do you get it across in your document. So this will be it, right? But in addition to that, I want to highlight that besides the ATS, people forget that actually, looking for a job, you need people. So people forget to network. They forget to talk to their community. They forget to talk to the parents when they pick up their kids. Hey, I'm in finance. I'm looking for a job. What is it that you do? And the thing is that from these random conversations and these random networking, and a lot comes out. And it's the same that, I've seen so many people reaching out to me saying, oh, I'm looking for a job and it's been so long and I'm struggling. And then I open the LinkedIn and it's empty. It's empty. There's nothing. And they haven't bothered to make a summary about their experience, and their title is as nondescript as possibly can. And I'm like, but if you apply and I don't, sometimes what happens is I receive an application and I'm missing some sort of information in it that person has forgotten to put it in. It happens, right? So what is it that I do? I go on LinkedIn. This is my next step. And if I don't see any information there, or if there's a contradictory information, that also happens, then all of these things. So make sure that you look at your job search much wider than just the ATS systems. It's a very big picture to keep in mind, rather than just the keywords. We know the keywords. If you look at the job description, you don't need a smart system to tell you what are the main important keywords that they will be looking in your application. Of course, make sure that they're there, but also be careful to look at your job search process much wider, and also maybe don't stay so narrowly focused. Some people say, oh, I'm looking only for this job, only in this industry, only at this level. And I'm like, well, you're making yourself life a little bit difficult. It's good to know what you want, but a little bit of flexibility also does not harm.
If I could add to this, thank you very much for this highly elaborated answer. What I see a lot, I love the word networking, because this triggered me immediately when I heard the word networking, and I see that 90% of the people network in the complete wrong way. They network the purpose-driven way. So I will talk to Václav and I will sell him something. It doesn't work like that. It's the same with the job. And second thing, people categorize people automatically in the category helpful, not helpful. So I will talk to Dana because she's a recruiter. No, talk to person XY because the person XY may know someone who may know someone, and this is the story. So we have a next similar question from Oksana. So what would be your advice in better positioning yourself on the Swiss market exactly? I'm a project manager and consultant with some gaps due to family investments.
I will quickly build on what you just said, Václav, before I move on to Oksana's question, which is a really good question. I wanted to say about this networking, and also talking to people that may not seem super helpful at the first glimpse, is build your network before you need it. Exactly. So if you are happily employed, what many people tend to do is keep your head down and just work hard. Mm-hmm. And then life happens and you find yourself in a situation, you're looking for your next job and you find yourself without a network. Make sure that you give before you ask. So build your network, give favors, help people, give the hand for those that are looking at for a job when you are feeling great in your position. And then once, I mean, I don't wish it, but once that situation happens and you are in a position that you are looking to network and to find people to ask for favors, this is when you will be able to ask for these favors, and people will be happy to help. Good. Oksana, Swiss market. Václav is for sure a much bigger expert on this than me. But I think very much to what we've been saying now, it's exactly the same in Swiss market. I think very particularly in Swiss market, networking and relationships, I think are super high relevance here. And what I'm trying to say is, nobody's going to give you a job because you know somebody. Yeah. This is not the case, right, Václav? You're not going to get a nice corporate role because you're a cousin of somebody. It may appear sometimes like that, but actually it doesn't work that way. What will work here is you will have a network and you will have relationships who know your qualities, who know what you can deliver, who have seen you perform. And these will be the people to reach out to somebody that they may know and say, hey, I've worked with Oksana. She did an amazing job. Do you happen to have a role? I know for sure that whoever hires her will be really happy to have her.
Yeah.
And Oksana, gaps due to family investments. This is also a very traditional thing in Switzerland, unfortunately, or fortunately. I'm not sure. Depends on how you look at it. And I'm an example on this as well. It is definitely harder to re-enter work market after you've taken time off to dedicate yourself to family. However, I think nothing is impossible. I think it's all about how you present it. And I often hear that people are so intimidated by the fact, oh, I have a career break, do I mention it on my CV? Do I not mention it on my CV? How do I say it? And, you don't need to make a bigger deal out of it than it is. Yes, I had a break due to family commitments. Now everybody's settled. Kids are in, arranged childcare. I'm ready to come back, and I'm more motivated than ever before. And this is an important piece to openly state. There is no hiding that you haven't been working for the past X years. I think this is an important one. Transparency, honesty, and just to get across what is it that you can deliver to your future employer.
Thank you. I would add on it, try to read your LinkedIn profile, Oksana, with the eyes of your future hiring manager. If I put these words in my headline, will it trigger someone to invite me for the job interview? So in your headline, I'm all the time asking, I should ask myself, does it describe me well? Is it attractive for the future employer? Did I put all my important skills which people may search for into my headline? My statement is, don't tell me who you are in terms of position and adjectives like seasoned, motivated, blah, blah, professional, because those words are so overused, nobody would like to hear them anymore. Tell me instead what you are doing. So leading, creating, provoking the right questions, whatever it is. This should be your headline, because your headline should tell a story about you, and the story should be so strong. I say, wow, I'm searching for a new PM. Oksana, this sounds cool. So this would be my advice. One of the many advices, put your skills in terms of a story in your headline. That would be my advice for it. And we have another question from Jan. Yeah, how do you feel about people trying to join a new industry after a significant time spent elsewhere? I think this is something what you see a lot. However, the new industry might be able to utilize the previous experiences. Yeah. So what's your take on that?
Yeah. Again, nothing is impossible, but I actually created a post some time ago on this because people try to get promoted, move to another country, change industry, do all these changes all at once, and then they are surprised that why don't I get considered? My advice is to make it easier on yourself and to feel that you stand a chance. Do fewer of these changes at once. So if you are, I don't know, Jan, what your area is, but if you are a project manager in medical devices, for example, and you want to manage projects in fast-moving consumer goods, then apply for the same role in another industry, and you will have transferable skills. You will be able to demonstrate how you've done these things and how your experience, could be transferable and relevant for your new industry. But if you try to change so many new things at once, this is harder for you. So my recommendation is one step at a time. If you want to move from manager to director role, stay in the same industry, in the same area, demonstrate how you contribute, how you develop, and how you grow results, and then do another, then you may want to move to another country being a director. Then again, that's easier. But one thing at a time. There are people who've done several at a time, but I do recommend to make it easier on you and to multiply your chances as well.
Mm-hmm. At the end, it's all about transferable skills. The transferable skills which you have from the one industry, you can bring into another industry. I'm now working with a person who would like to change from banking, agile project management to pharma industry. The tools are all the same. Nobody is going to torture you about detailed candidates of GMP. It's about that the right tools for agile project management. Good. We have another question. What are the most effective strategies for breaking into the cell and gene therapy field as a project manager within the pharmaceutical industry? So this is a good one.
This is exactly, Václav, what you were just saying now. And thank you for the question. Cell and gene therapy right now is an extremely attractive field. It is the future. It shows amazing results, and everybody is betting on it right now. However, the problem is that there's not a lot of talent who has the experience in this field. So just like the LinkedIn user who asked the question, a lot of people want to have this experience and who want to break into the area. What I recommend is exactly, Václav, what you said. Demonstrate the transferable skills. If you have that possibility, do it within your own company if this field is there. If it isn't, and if you want to move into this area, potentially move into the company that has this field. First, do the project management within the scope that you have the entrance, and then try to move into. But this is an extremely competitive area right now. So don't worry if you don't succeed right away. Try to network with people in this field. Go to the events. Try to understand and learn more about it. Do workshops, do trainings, learn about it. Maybe do additional education. So I definitely see that there will be more demand in this area in the future. So I can only command the interest of the LinkedIn user to move into this space. There will be many more opportunities, but right now, it's like when everybody started going after data science roles, right? Everybody wanted to do it. It's the same right now with that. So don't be discouraged if it doesn't come easy. And back to what I said, one step at a time, and you'll make it easier on you. But there's a lot of opportunities to learn more about this space right now.
As we have been talking about cell and gene therapy, I can imagine that recruiting talent for such specific niche therapeutic areas could be pretty complicated. So which strategies do you employ to identify and attract the top talents in those limited fields, Dana?
There's many, but indeed, events, so conferences. There's some very renowned global conferences in the area where qualified speakers are attending. I don't necessarily need to attend. I need to know who's speaking about what. So that really gives me an insight into specific niche areas and their knowledge in these. Of course, I'm looking also for papers written on particular areas. Who has researched what. There's many ways, but if there's one thread throughout, be present, be online, and this is how I will find you, because it's not easy to get to the right connections, but whenever I have one of those really hard roles to fill, I will find the right talent, and sometimes I will talk to people who've applied for other roles that may have some of it what I'm looking for. I reach out and say, hey, we spoke about a year ago, but now there's a new role. Mm-hmm. What's happening in your career? What are your interests? Which direction do you see your career growing? So there's many ways. And there's also a lot of organizations, they have talent pools, mm-hmm. Which means that you can submit your profile without a particular job. And when you do so, make sure that you highlight your interest. What is it that you want to do? Which areas do you want to do? Which locations would you consider? So whenever I do my internal database search, then if the profile comes up, then that really answers a lot of questions and clarifies, is it worth my and your time for us to talk?
This is your beautiful statement that you said that you are reaching out to people who have you been talking 1 year before. That's a lot of people. It makes no sense that I agree that they keep my CV. Nobody will call me back. That's not true, which is really cool. And here I have a small praise. So always enjoy your post, Dana Rollinger. So Nicholas, thank you for praising Danas. It's all the time good. I like it all the time as well if people like my posts. So that's great.
That's my reward. Thank you, Nicholas.
We have now 32 minutes, and I have the feeling we just started. So this is why was no LinkedIn Live where I could say we could run it for 2 hours and still won't be boring. So I throw the next questions from the audience on you. In the context of wanting to transition into a new role and a new field without prior experience, would you advise pursuing a further education, such as a training or relevant courses, to enhance one's qualification to be considered for such roles? Or what would you exactly recommend?
A big yes, absolutely. If you want to enter an area where you don't have experience, absolutely do further education. Show, that's a proof. If I see on your CV that you have taken time and effort to study and to learn and to challenge you, that it's not just an interest. I want to move into cell and gene. I really am interested. I'm motivated, and I'm willing to work for it to enter this area. And so I have more. And that way you will not only gain the qualification, you will also gain network. So people who will be already in this space, your professors who will be very well networked, I can assure you, your peers who may, have connections or opportunities to enter spaces where you would be potentially interested as well. Absolutely. I think this is great. And then there's all kinds of associations and areas where you could potentially volunteer. There's a lot of organizations looking for volunteers that will give you already hands-on expertise in some particular areas where you may want to enter. So there's a lot of ways to get foot in the door.
Yeah, and it shows a commitment as well. So if you are committed to learn further, that's great. And now is my Robert, Advocatus Diaboli. This is my favorite question, and I will show it to you. I hate it, so let's have a look what Dana says to it. This is the famous open to work green circle on the LinkedIn picture. So what is your take on that?
So a little insight for those that don't know. Recruiters have a recruiter license, especially those working for larger organizations. We have a recruiter license for LinkedIn. Whenever I go into the recruiter door to enter LinkedIn and I do a quick search for a particular profile in a particular location within an industry or a number of industries, and I click enter. So what happens there is I get several tabs of candidates. And the first tab that I look at is candidates that are open to work. Okay, so that means that these candidates will be the ones to respond to me the fastest, be available, interested for the role that I may have to discuss with them, right? So I think this is important. Now, there's two different open to work settings. One is the green circle, the very controversial green circle that I've been trying hard to avoid to talk about, because whichever side you take, you will get rocks thrown at you. And then the other one is the invisible green circle, as I like to call it, that is visible only to recruiters, which will be visible on this recruiter view. You can do both. You can do either. I think I personally, from my position where I'm sitting, I don't see downsides to either. Mm-hmm. I think if you have the green circle, that will be visible to everyone, not only the recruiters with the special license. So that may mean that your neighbor will happen to bump into your profile and say, hey, actually, my company is hiring. Do you want to share your CV? And I'll pass it on to my friend who's hiring and who may be under pressure and willingness to fill the role fast. But the opponents of the green circle say, oh, you look desperate. It all depends how you want to appear. For me, it's not desperate, especially in these days and this environment when a lot of people are losing their jobs for no fault of their own. I really don't see anything bad seeing open to work sign on a profile.
Thank you for that. So you know very well that I'm one of this desperate perception camp, but that's okay. Thank you for that. Thank you for this. Next question. Coming from food industry, I've interviewed recently in November 22nd for a marketing role in pharma. I was told I will be given the feedback end of month. No news yet. From a recruiter point of view, does that mean that I can still be in the race?
Nicholas, if I was in your shoes, super simple. You are still in the race. End of year, super busy. Everybody is running headless, trying to do whatever they can to close down things. If I was you, I would drop an email to the recruiter or whoever you were in contact with, saying, "Hey, it was great to talk to you. I'm looking forward to hearing for an update. Would appreciate to hear from you. No assumptions, no hard feelings. Delays happen everywhere. Yes, it would have been great if the recruiter had dropped you a message saying, apologies, we have a delay, hiring manager is on a leave or sick leave or whatever it is, and we'll get back to you. Yes, it can be that they're offering another candidate and you're on hold in case they don't accept. It does happen. It also happens that they don't accept and you get the offer. But let's not make assumptions. Reach out, see what they have to say. If after the second email you hear nothing back, and unfortunately I've seen cases like that also in my own personal experience, yeah, some people have no manners, and that's their loss. And you probably don't want to work for a company that leads that sort of policy.
This was a very nice statement. I can only subscribe to that. So sometimes in the old days, I have seen that we have not been able to create the offer for a candidate for 6 months. Like we couldn't come to terms, and then the person went to Roche, for example. You know, that's the way it is. My advice is don't take it personally. It's nothing with you. That the processes are cumbersome, the processes are slow. That's the way it is. Yes, ask back without being too pushy. So you have the interview, don't ask after 2 days. Definitely not, because like normal time, 1 week is nothing in the recruiting process. So after 2-3 weeks, I will drop them an email. That's good. Hi, we have another questions after question. How do you feel about candidates requesting for more detailed, sincere feedback after an interview as a part of their self-evaluation points to work on future? Do you get such requests often?
No, I don't get such requests often, because as soon as I give an update on whether we're proceeding with the next round or not, I offer this feedback to an extent. And sometimes, Jan, the feedback may look, the other candidate was just a closer match. There was nothing wrong with your profile. They clicked better with the hiring manager. They may have a little bit more years of certain experience that was particularly relevant for the hiring team. Sometimes there may be points to work on for future, such as I've told candidate, look, you were very nervous at the interview. I appreciate you may not have a great day, or sometimes I've had candidates who show up for an interview and they have not been prepared. They really come and they get lost at the questions, and they're not there. And this is my feedback. I really recommend you exercise, you train interviewing skills, and the reality is that, again, what Václav said, it's not about you. It's about what the hiring team is looking for. And whenever I have an opportunity, I always offer feedback to the candidate, because I appreciate, I think every interviewing opportunity is also a training for you, opportunity to learn from this experience. And if I can give a little bit back, for the time that you've invested and the effort you've spent interviewing for my job, I always do my best to give a feedback. I've been giving feedback on CVs, on application letters, on interviewing. I think this is important to kind of have this exchange and add value.
A quick reality check, Dana, how does your schedule look like? Because we are coming to the close. If you have 5 additional minutes, there are so many questions. I would like to extend it a little bit. Is it okay for you?
It's all right. It's all right.
So let's start with the next question. What have you been doing for the past year? It's not the family obligations, and you have applied for 800 euros. During the interview process, you cannot mention the reality of things that you are looking for a job.
I have said that, actually. Looking for a job is a full-time job. And no recruiter will deny this, because it really is. If you do quality applications, if you invest time to prepare for the jobs that you apply, and research whether this particular role in this particular organization is the right fit for you, it is a full-time job. For the past year, for sure, there were also things that you were doing to train for. You've been doing some courses, some workshops, potentially language courses. Volunteering, supporting some organizations. All of that goes into your professional upskilling. So I think all of these things are worth mentioning. I don't know, parents association for your children is equally stressful and time consuming. So all of these things, I think, are important to mention.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and with these gaps, gap is a gap, and if you describe it, what you have been doing, as Dana elaborated, it's okay. We all have some sorts of gaps. I have gaps as well. Everybody does. Most of the people does. And that is not a typical Japanese career that you start sweeping a floor somewhere in the shop floor, and at the end you are CEO of the entire company after 40 years later. This doesn't happening. And yes, I would like to say every person, there is nothing wrong with you if you are longer time out of a job or you do have some sort of gaps. That's normal. That's life, and there are hundreds, thousands of people like you as well. So, Pooja, we have another one. How can I effectively leverage my dual master's degree in MBA and Business Information System to secure entry-level position in project management, considering my lack of work experience?
Well, I would start by listing the subjects that you've learned during your degrees, how those are applicable in your roles that you would be applying for. Entry level positions, typically they don't need a lot of work experience. Something that I mentioned already, volunteering is a great way. I really have seen amazing opportunities coming out because you have experience. Yes, it may not have been paid. Yes, it may be 20% a week, but it is an experience and the network that you will, and there's great causes, especially in Switzerland. I don't know, Pooja, where you're based in Switzerland. There's lots of great organizations that do great things that always are looking for volunteers. So I assure you, you will be feeling great about yourself. It will it will increase your self-confidence. It will show you the opportunities, and you will be able to put that on your CV to demonstrate that that you want to really, you're motivated to enter the project management world. So do look for those opportunities. And again, networking, events, associations, all of these are a great way to meet people, to present yourself, to learn about others.
Guys, my apologies. There are so many questions, so please don't be angry with us that we cannot show all of them. I think this is a fantastic signal that we should do LinkedIn Live like this more often. I have a very, very specific question, which I really would like to show you and ask for your opinion. I would like to seek your advice on the advisability of disclosing one's status on the autism spectrum in a CV and how such disclosure might impact our chances.
Thank you for this question. This is a great question, and if we replace autism with so many other things, it will be exactly the same. This will be a super individual approach, and I think this is very much also how the candidate feels about it and how comfortable you are disclosing this. I've seen candidates who do not disclose this and put themselves in during the interview process in an uncomfortable place because some assumptions are being made and people are not successful. I've also seen, and I'm really sorry about it, that some recruiters and some companies may avoid considering such a candidate. But if you ask me, I think it's important to disclose. If you yourself are comfortable with disclosing this, it will make your life easier because you will be hired into a company that has an open mind, that appreciates diversity, that sees the value that you can bring, that will accommodate your specific needs during the interview process and take those into the consideration, and also will accommodate your working arrangements for you and your needs to be successful at what you do. So this is how I see it. I think it's important. However, I also think it's important to understand that you will not be hired because of this. You will be hired because of what you can deliver and what you can bring for the employer.
Mm-hmm.
So these things have to coexist, and I've seen great success stories, people both disclosing and not disclosing. Some people feel much more comfortable to disclose it in a face-to-face interview, and that's okay too. If they feel comfortable, if they see that they have a good conversation going, saying, look, I want you to know this. However, in my previous experience, I've been really successful. I make it work really well. My colleagues understand that noisy, busy environment doesn't work for me. So, I'm comfortable with the arrangements that we've made. We work great together, and I would love to work for your company, and see how my strength can play to what your needs are.
Thank you very much, Dana. And this is the exact proof of your kindness towards people. I love this statement very much. I have like another 5 other questions prepared from my side already, but I think let's call it a day for today. This was a really very good discussion. I think people could take a lot of recruiters' views and wisdom from this LinkedIn Live. I will be more than happy if we later next year can redo it, because there'll be so many interested people in this. Thank you very much for taking the time, and I wish you beautiful Christmas holiday and hopefully not so stressful end sprint of the year. And let's stay tuned. Please, if somebody was interested in the talk, send us connection request, connect with us. I'm more than happy to share some basic tips and tricks with you. And Dana does the same. If you follow their LinkedIn profile and her post, you will find a lot of very useful information. And I think that's it for today. I will close the stream now. Thank you very much. And Dana, if you could stay for a moment online with me, then I close the stream now. Thank you, guys.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for the questions. It's been a pleasure to be here.
Thank you. Bye.